Good morning everyone, it's Terry from The Craft Curator. I live in Gingin, Western Australia, which is about 90 minutes north of Perth, which is our capital. And yeah, I'm going to get a face exfoliation from Ruby, which is one of our dogs. We have two dogs, we have Bear and we have Ruby. Ruby is our youngest, she's nearly 2, well she's 2 in June. And Glenn and I love our dogs to bits. Bear was a rescue dog that we got when he was 6 years old, and now he is 10. And he is a Tenterfield Terrier crossed with a Foxy Terrier. A real gentleman. This girl just gives him hell. She really does, don't you, sweetheart? And Ruby is a Shih Tzu cross. Now, Jack Russell, that's right, you're a Jack Russell Terrier crossed with the Shih Tzu. Do you want down now? Have you had enough? Say goodbye to everybody. Bye. Okay, so that's basically what we're all about here. Today we're going to be experiencing a very hot day. It's going to be 41 degrees. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. And yes, so you may hear the fan in the background noise, and that is coming from my larger craft room, and there's an air conditioner in there, which means I can use the fan to push the cooler air into here. What have I been up to? Well, the last 2 weeks have been just go, go, go. It started off last week that, yes, I did do a vlog, and I never put it up. I just really didn't get the chance, and once I went through it, I thought, there's things I've missed here, so we'll let that one go for this week. And also we've had doctor's appointments for Glenn, blood tests to be done with me. He had stitches taken out of his neck because he'd had a rather large squamous cancer taken out of the side of his neck, which was a bit of a worry because it was close to the lymphatic system, and the last thing you want is cancer getting into the lymphatic system. We got the results yesterday. They managed to get it all, which is wonderful news. On Monday we go back to the hospital for his first appointment with an orthopaedic registrar or surgeon, we don't know what, as it's public, at least we're getting in, and hopefully he will have his second hip replacement done, because Glenn is a very, very active man. He's always creating, just like myself, but a lot of the work he does is around the house and inside his workshop. Also, I received a few more of my hanging bags that I keep my yarn in this room on a rail that's normally used for clothes. And I've been sorting and putting the yarn in these bags in an appropriate order so that I can easily find what I need when I need to knit it. Little did I realise, well, maybe I did, but I didn't want to admit it to myself, that I have a lot of yarn. This room now is my yarn room, which is great because it almost makes it like a studio, you know, a studio with walls, we might say. And to be quite honest, the walls and the cupboards are great. So even though Glenn never built the studio that I was expecting him to build, he actually built it, but he sort of turned it into a undercover area for the tractor and some trailers. So that's fine, that was a necessity. And once he allowed me to put the guest room up into what was the yarn room, which was the study, I was over the moon. I felt, you know, I've got all my creative crafts in the one area. I can use the air conditioner for both rooms, my sewing room on either side of the activity room. All I have to do is to get the cooler air in there is put a fan at the door and it pumps it in beautifully. So hence I continue with doing what I decide to do for that day. I've been a little bit over the place with my crafts because I am a butterfly. I get bored very, very quickly, and so I have a lot of works in progress in my crocheting, in my embroidery, in my cross stitching, in my resin clay making, also my sewing. I just hope I've got enough years to finish them all, because I don't think my girls who currently live in Western Australia really would know what to do with them, apart from either forward them on to craft groups or, you know, second-hand shops or whatever. But I don't want to sort of leave them with too much to have to sort through. Well, that's my hope anyway. So maybe I'll be given enough years to be able to complete some of these things. I buy a lot of things from Temu. I buy a lot of things from Temu because living in the country, it's very difficult sometimes. Okay, it's only 90 kilometres from Perth, but when you're getting a little bit over the hill, you don't want to be driving long distances. And of course now we're more impeded by the fact that, needless to say, there's a war that is affecting our oil prices, which affects our petroleum. This also affects a lot of other things in our economy, and hopefully it won't last too long and the world won't be in too much stress over this particular war. I won't go into my points of view about it. I think that's irrelevant. I'm just one person who can't do anything about what's happening in the world. I just need to live in my own little bubble and make sure I'm happy and my family around me is happy. Okay, let's get on to something that I bought from Temu a while ago, and I didn't realise that it actually was a knockoff. So I bought it, and it actually was this granny square deck. Now, I'm sorry, but you won't be able to see the actual writing the right way because the camera's facing me. But I thought, oh, what a great idea. But when I got it, the cards were brilliant, you know, because I can read the graphic instructions on the back of a card like this. I can actually read that, so that's great. But sometimes you need to be able to read the book. Evidently, this book was originally designed by Montgomerie and brought out by, I think it was www.searchpress.com. Anyway, when I was reading through the book, I thought, my gosh, look at the size of this writing. I virtually needed a magnifying glass, and even then I couldn't see it very clearly. And as it had, you know, lots of instructions in it about changing colours and endings and beginnings and, you know, the written instructions for the cards, I looked at the box and then I noticed, hang on a minute, this must be a dupe, because on the side of the box, instead of reading design and crochet and the fact that it was the Granny Square card deck booklet, it said dooklet. And I thought, here we go again. You know, you've really got to be careful that you are not buying a dupe from somebody that's put a lot of effort into designing and publishing, and then unfortunately Chinese companies. And it's not Temu, because Temu is a warehouse. They have a lot of different manufacturers that distribute through Temu's warehouse. So they don't really have a lot of control over what is authentic and what isn't. A lot of the things I've bought on Temu, hence the hanging wool, what would I call it? They did have a name for it on the packet, but I can't remember. Wool storage, we'll say that, the hanging wool storage or yarn storage. Yeah, I hadn't been able to find them anywhere else. I think I even looked on Shein, Shine, whatever you want to call it, and I couldn't even find them there. So obviously the manufacturer of those is not duping anybody. It's their designers, their manufacturing and selling through Temu. Temu is not that dissimilar to Amazon, to be quite honest. Amazon sells a lot of products that came from the same manufacturers that Temu sell them from, but sometimes the prices can be extortionate. Now, the other thing I want to talk about with Temu is check your pricing, because you can be scrolling through and think, oh, that's a great price. And then you've put it in your cart, you've paid for it, and then you keep on scrolling and you find it's cheaper. So just a little bit of advice, something that I do is every manufacturer is going to have a different price for their items through Temu. So I find what I like, I put it in my basket, and then I keep scrolling to see if I can find a cheaper one. If I can't find a cheaper one, I leave it in the basket. If I can, I delete the one in the basket after I have put the cheaper one in, because sometimes I'll delete something out the basket and then I think, what was it? Where was it? So if basically you leave it in the basket, you put the cheaper one in the basket, and then you delete the more expensive one. Okay, that's my Temu, in my opinion, and how it affects me and how I use it. Okay, so basically, no go. Cards are great. I'll use them in the caravan. But luckily enough, I get a lot of emails from Spotlight to say when they're going to have specials and things like that. Now, Spotlight is basically, in Western Australia, the only large, like I was going to say Joanna's, but they've gone, like Michael's, a lot of other large hobby companies that distribute hobby products in a lot of, I know United States and England. I don't know if England has Michael's, but I know they have a lot of distributors that do large selections of hobby products, going from sewing to using yarn to your cricket machines, so on and so forth. So I received this email that said they had the original card decks that were designed by Claire Montgomerie and made by Search Press for sale. And I thought, this is great. Now, originally, from what I can gather, from the original price was $40 a card deck, and they were reduced to $28. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. So I'm going to buy this card deck. And also, they had another card deck, which wasn't just granny squares. It was actually the granny square flower card deck. So I bought both of them. So I'm going to show you the difference between, I'll stand back here, the dupe and the size of the original card deck. So while the box isn't that much smaller in the size of the cards, you will notice that when I turn it on its side, it is very much smaller. So I haven't been through all the cards to check if some cards are missing and some cards aren't. But when I did look into the box, I was so grateful to find the book, not a booklet, a book, and the writing was actually readable. Okay? So I bought the card deck. So I'm thinking I know there's 50 cards, but the cards are actually a lot more sturdier. They're more like a good thickness. They really are quite thick compared to the knockoff at Temu. And hence the reason why these particular dupes aren't as good. So the cards are considerably thicker. They are a little, actually, I wouldn't say they're a little bit larger. They're probably reasonable size comparison. But you can see that they've actually enlarged the picture of the granny square, where the jute one, which is this one, has a lot more white around it. So that was amazing. I thought, this is great. I'm really impressed. So then I got the other one as well, which is delightful. It's this one, which is the Granny Square Flowers card deck. And I would imagine that the booklet is thicker, a little bit thicker, because, you know, these are 3D and they're going to be probably, I'll see if I can find a 3D one. I haven't found a 3D one yet. Still looking, but you can see by, I'm just going through the book. It's showing you a lot of backgrounds, and then it's probably explaining things like this particular one, which is a 3D flower. So that'll be good to use too, because I do have a tendency to crochet a lot of different squares and think, oh, what am I going to do with these? But, you know, it keeps my mind active. It keeps my ability to read these diagram instructions on the back of the cards, and I'm happy with that. So a win-win for me. It wasn't, even though the decks cost $28 each, so that was a saving of $24 for both decks, which was great. Unfortunately, the postage costs $15. If you buy from Spotlight online, you get free postage at over $120, but I thought, I am not going to be doing $120 to get free postage, because it ends up being a lot of things that I don't really need that get pushed away, or materials that, you know, I've got enough flat quarters, I don't need any more. So for me, the $15 was worth it, even though it meant 15 from 24 is like, I think, a $9 discount. A discount's a discount. Okay, so what else have I been doing? I decided that I'd like to do slow stitching. So in my last podcast, you saw that I had been doing embroidery. I did a little bit after the vlog. And so this is the embroidery I'm doing. My daughter doesn't watch my YouTubes. In fact, I don't think any of my children do, so it's not going to be, it will still be a surprise for her, which is good. But then I thought, I've been following this lady, Christine. I'll put her in the description box below. And she does slow stitching. In the last few videos of hers that I've been watching, she's been doing slow stitching with hexagons. Now, I love hexagons. I love English paper piecing. And I thought, wow, what a great way to use slow stitching. I've got lots of bits of different material, and I thought, oh, that's a great way to sit down and use them up. So I've decided, I sorted out some material, and now at the moment I am going through my threads, and I'm going to try, and I have a lot of threads already done. So these threads are basically threads that I've got from, you know, embroidery packs that I didn't really do and things like that. So I thought, well, I'll go through them all, and I will put them in this box in a manageable way. I think that's a good word to use. Things need to be manageable for me. So, okay, I'm going to stop the camera here, and I'm going to give you a look around now. Keep in mind that I'm sorting, I'm working things out. So the top of my table at the moment is a little bit of a mess, but hey, you can't craft and have a perfectly clean table or area. So I'll just show you around my particular yarn room at the moment, that I've basically sorted most of it. So first off, this is the built-in robe that Glenn only completed the built-ins probably about a year ago when it was a guest room. So in here on this side is all my spinning, because I do wool spinning, all my equipment that I need for wool spinning. And yeah, so that's where I keep my wool spinning equipment. And there's my little wool spinner. It's just like, I am losing it, I swear to goodness. But anyway, you get the idea. Pardon me. In the next side, which would have been hanging space, is these wool storage hanging things, which I call. So basically, this is what they look like. So everything's in clear plastic shelving that zips up. I have lavender in this one because it's wool, and this one holds my spun yarn. This one holds, believe it or not, these are my Temu cottons that I like doing amigurumi with, because they're nice and soft and they do crochet up really, really nicely with an amigurumi. This isn't completely finished yet or full, and I use that for just odds and ends. And then I have my acrylics and my velvety type of plush. Yeah, plush. It's virtually plush, not too plush. And more yarn down there. And then this one has my very velvet plush. So that's fantastic. Absolutely. I will be putting labels on the side of them to say what particular yarn is in each storage unit, and then I won't have to go through everything because I won't remember which is which. Okay, next cupboard. The next cupboard has, at the moment, my oversupply of acrylic yarns that I will be using my circular knitting machine for. And then these are what I use for blocking. And simply I found them at a op shop actually. And they're those mats that you just put on the ground for children to play on. And I thought, oh, that's a perfect idea. So basically I glued the letter in and I've put them away for my blocking when I block my knitted garments. And they're my drawers of odds and ends for when I do purses, eyes, you know, just general. And on this side, actually, nothing to do with yarn, but they're canvases, right, that I will reuse. Oh, there's some specialty cotton yarn down there. But this is basically for my art. This is my art supply for when I do watercolouring and things like that. Okay, so that's that cupboard. Now, I'll spin you around. I'll just use my spinner out of the way. And the first trolley that I have, now I use these trolleys because I don't necessarily have to use it in this room. If I'm doing a project and I need different, you know, things like different threads, which very, very simply I've put on cards. I prefer a particular length of thread, then I don't have to keep cutting. I don't particularly like winding them on cards because of the creases that you get in the yarn, which I think just encourages them to tangle more. And I'll be putting more on this when I've done that huge amount of yarn that I have to do on my desk. So that's where I keep my yarn for threads, embroidery threads, my cross stitches down there. I have beads under there. I have on the top, I have my embroidery hoop holder. Next to that is my knitting. So this is where I keep my knitting implements, my different types of needles. The bottom one has projects that need to be finished. And then the one next to that is my crochet trolley. So these are very, very handy because I can actually move them around the house. If I'm sitting with Glenn and I don't have everything I need, I will just take that with me up to the area. This is my chair that I sit in, and it goes back so I can actually just sit, do my crocheting, whatever. And then I have this amazing lamp stand. It's from the Daylight Lamp Company, and it has the light, obviously, which is here, which I can adjust up and down. Then it has what I put my instructions or my cross stitch diagrams on here, and then down below here it has where you can put a hoop. I very, very rarely use that. I prefer to either, stitch with holding onto the hoop by hand. This is my very, very messy table at the moment. Oh, these are resin, is it resin clay? I can't remember. Anyway, I've made quite a few things, and these are the ones that didn't turn out that well, and I'm currently turning them into little plant pots, I guess you could say. I'll probably put little cactuses in them. Okay, so here's a lot of cottons that I need to sort and cut. So I'll be doing that today because it'll be so hot. This was my mother-in-law's sewing box, which was left when she passed. So I thought this would be actually great for my slow stitching. I could keep the current slow stitching work that I'm doing in there. She had all these little threads, which are great because when you're slow stitching, you can use different colours for holding down different bits of what you're doing. So that's good to have that. So, and then that all just folds together. It's missing its handle. I actually wanted to decoupage it. Sorry, I'm just going to close it. And it's a bit of a noise to close it. And then, but that's the duped ones that can go in the caravan. So I'm not carrying around big ones if I'm doing a particular pattern. So this is my cottons that I will be cutting to this length of thread, and then I will be finding some more of those wind-up cards. And what I do is I punch a small egg shape into them, and that's how I thread the yarns through, so that all I need to do is, have I got one? Here we go. You can see that's like an egg shape, and then I just thread my yarns through like that, and I can just pull out what I need. I also have another way of keeping yarns, but I might show that to you another time. Okay, so the other exciting thing that happened with ordering a incoming, you might say, apart from the books, is this, and I haven't got it out yet, so I can only show you. I don't want to unbox it until I actually watch how to do it. So I have these circular knitting machines, right? And that's what I've been doing a lot of, hats, scarves, and I'm crocheting rugs at the moment for the homeless. So it actually has a handle on it, and I have two sizes. I have the large Addy 46 needle, and I have the smaller Addy, I think it's 24 needle. Now on the smaller one, I won't be using what I have just bought online. I don't use the smaller one a lot, but it's there if I need it. I could do babies, beanies with it, newborns to probably about 1. I could also make smaller scarves and different things, because not only does it do circular knitting, both of these machines do panels as well. Now, getting back to my incoming, I was finding it rather difficult to wind the handle all the time, and I knew that there was an electric adapter that you could get for the larger machine, so that's what this is. And it wasn't cheap because I had to buy it through America, which meant that, you know, the price of what it was for Australia was a lot more expensive in American dollars, plus the postage wasn't cheap. But I thought, I've got a lot of yarn to knit up that I want to pass on to the homeless or refuges for mothers that are in some sort of domestic trouble. And so this will be very, very handy. Okay, so basically I have my, you may have seen this before, but I have changed it around a little bit. So I have all my kits to do. The reason I do kits is because I take them with me when we go caravanning, and they're great. Everything's in there. I love kits because also you get a pattern, and you get to keep the pattern, and if you liked what you did in the kit, you can do many more. So basically, that's my book shelving area. That up there is a paint by numbers that I need to finish. We'll finish it one day. I promise myself I will finish it one day. And then my books that I use for finding out different things and keeping well, not records. I bought them years ago. Busy Needles and Needlecraft Magic. So, you know, I'm not going to get rid of those. And of course, coming around over here, I have my television, which I can turn so I can watch while I'm using the circular knitting machine, or I can sit in my chair and watch it. That's actually going to go on an arm so that that clears that area up better. It's on top of a filing drawer system at the moment, which I don't want there. I want to move that into my anything and everything craft room, which is where I do, you know, paper crafting, journaling, scrapbooking, these clay resin things. You make it with powder. So that'll make it a little bit wider to go in between the bookcase and my table, because I really do like the way the table is on an angle. It just gives such a cozy setup and environment. So if the TV goes on the wall, I'll put the clock probably above my robes, and the TV will go on the wall, and I'll be able to move it in lots of different directions, so that'll be good. Okay, so I'll just turn you back around. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. Every week, hopefully, without having doctor's appointments and everything else, I will do another vlog, and you will come and join me. I appreciate your company. I really, really love having you with me while I go through all my different little craft adventures. And so wherever you are in the world, I hope you're happy and safe, and that the weather's not too cruel to you, and you're able to have a great day. Bye for now.